So what's good, Team G fam? It's your boy Ellen. I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute, man. So listen, man. Let me tell y'all real quick. Today, I don't know why I woke up like. I know why I woke up like this. It's because it's who I am. But I typed in my phone. I was like, "What is NASA hiding?" You know what the first thing popped up was? The very first thing that popped up in my phone says, "Are aliens hiding in plain sight?" Interesting, right? Oh, so I didn't click on it. I ain't made it that far yet to click on it. But what I could read from the opening page was several missions this year are seeking out life on the red planet. But would we recognize extraterrestrials if we found them? Are aliens hiding in plain sight? Just something to think about. That's all. I just want you to just ponder that. Just let that marinate or sizzle, as Country Wayne would say. So listen, this video here is NASA captures what no one was supposed to see. All right. So yeah, we deep in the rabbit hole by now, bro. I hope y'all along for the ride. So I ain't stopping. All right. So if you're new to the channel, man, hit that subscribe button. Join the fam. Here we go.
Final frontier, well, according to Star Trek, but it's a pretty big frontier to say the least. There are all sorts of crazy and bizarre things out there in the vast reaches of space, and even here at home. These are incredible things caught by NASA. Number 20. The Genesis Crash. A flying saucer crash-landed in the Utah desert in 2018. NASA alerted about it before it crashed, so the saucer from outer space was actually being tracked by radar and chased by helicopters. A lot of people thought this was the final indisputable proof they were looking for to prove the existence of alien spacecrafts coming to planet Earth. But
this is about to be interesting. Let's see what they're about to give us.
In reality, the banged up dish that ended up half buried in the desert sand was nothing other than the return capsule of the Genesis spacecraft. And by that, I mean the human-made spacecraft, of course. Yeah, this one is ours. It just took everyone by surprise because the return capsule simply wasn't supposed to touch down in such a spectacularly brutal way. The Genesis mission was first launched on August 8th, 2001, and it was the space agency's very ambitious mission of sending a spacecraft into our home star's solar wind. It was meant to orbit the Lagrange point 1 for 2 years while gathering samples, and then it was supposed to return safely back to our planet.
Did it return or was it sent back? Because something peeped what we were doing and didn't like it. So that might be the question you might have to ask.
Genesis was equipped with collector arrays that could fold out, each one of them loaded with high purity materials such as aluminum, sapphire, silicon, and gold. But clearly something went terribly wrong. Like this video, smash this
See, what was I saying?
In your face when you're sleeping. Now, it's time for the odd topic. After detecting something curious in their direct airspace, some NASA officials decided to take to the air to see if they could photograph what was up there. Much to their shock, they captured, between the clouds, this curious thing. As you can see, it seems to be some sort of alien spacecraft. If the story we've heard can be believed, the thing swiftly vanished, denying NASA the opportunity to take more photos. Curious and mysterious. What do you think this was? What's clear is that NASA captured what no one was supposed to see. As always, comment down below with the hashtag OddTopic and let us know your opinion in relation to what we just showed on screen. With that said, let's keep things moving. Number 19. An alien city on the moon. You may have heard of the conspiracy theories that claim that there are actual aliens living in our natural lunar satellite. UFO hunters are convinced that all the evidence necessary to corroborate their theory is actually already present in NASA images of the moon. In particular, Scott C. Waring, a UFO hunter himself, was browsing one day through the pages of the book Lunar Orbiter Photographic Atlas of the Near Side of the Moon when he noticed something that looked a lot like a structure. He believes this is proof of an alien-built city on the moon. He told reporters that this mysterious city might be made out of something similar to ceramic. He claims that NASA has a long history of editing pictures so that the human race won't know what's really going on the surface of the moon. For that reason, he uses old.
Did y'all just hear that? They have a habit of editing pictures. See? This is what I be saying.
NASA pictures. You know, the ones that haven't been edited yet. The ones that show the real surface of the moon and not what NASA wants us to see. Even if this seems far-fetched, it is true that some of these structures do seem to look intelligently designed, like this perfectly formed triangle with a perfect white circle in the center of it. Number 18. NASA uses Space Monkey. Not a lot of people know this, but NASA actually sent a chimpanzee into outer space. It was part of the Mercury program when NASA trained dozens of chimps in the early stages of spaceflight. Yeah, before we even got to the moon, before Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin famously did one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind, another terrestrial creature had already been to space. His name was Ham, and he was a very special chimpanzee. On April 31st, 1961, only a few months before the Soviet Union did the Pioneer spaceflight with cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin, Ham became the very first hominid in space. Ham was actually...
I don't know how I feel about that, fam. Like, he ain't have no choice.
Trained to pull levers and somewhat pilot the Project Mercury spacecraft. He single-handedly proved that it was physically possible to pilot a spacecraft in space. Ham managed to survive his mission and safely come back to Earth, unlike many other primates that were sent to space by NASA. Ham thankfully went on to live a long and happy life. Today, he's buried in New Mexico, where his gravestone reads, "Ham proved that mankind could live and work in space."
Wow.
Number 17.
Wow.
Space Launch System. The Space Launch System is currently the only rocket equipped with enough power and capabilities to actually carry human beings to Mars. But as with literally everything that NASA does, there are already conspiracy theories all over the SLS. NASA released pictures of their cutting-edge new rocket that turned out to be heavily redacted, so naturally, some people are convinced that it's all a cover-up. In the pictures, significant portions of the rocket's body have been blurred out. Why would they feel the need to do such a thing? NASA Watch News, which is an independent news website, was the first one to point to the strange censorship of the images. Maybe NASA is just trying to protect top-secret technology from its many growing rivals, such as SpaceX or Blue Origin. Or maybe they're trying to conceal the fact that they had to use controversial technology on the SLS, like military technology, for instance. The only official statement they released was that blurring the images of the SLS is simply standard procedure. But even if that is the case, what are they trying to hide so desperately from the public, and why? Number 16. NASA faked the moon landing.
Yo, you know this is gonna come up till the end of time, right? This keeps popping its rearing its ugly head, and it's gonna keep coming up.
This is one of the major conspiracy theories of all time. On July 20th, 1969, the Apollo 11 space rocket was the first crewed mission to land on the moon. It was one of the most watched events in human history. An estimated 650 million viewers worldwide watched the moon landing on TV. It took 400,000 employees and contractors to put Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin on the moon that day. But ironically, it only took one man to spread the theory that it was all a hoax, and the idea stuck until today. His name was Bill Casing, and he is single-handedly responsible for the moon landing conspiracy theory. Despite the extraordinary volume of evidence, including 328 kilograms of moon rock collected across 6 missions, images showing the tracks made by the astronauts in the moon dust, or the corroboration from Russia, Japan, and China, there are still thousands of people that believe, as a given fact, humankind has never been on the moon.
I think that's typically gonna come with the territory, though. Shout outs to Mythbusters. There, you know they always gonna show up to put it to the test and see if y'all was telling the truth or not. But I think that comes with anything you do. You're gonna have people who just don't believe you. You know what I mean? Just gonna call it a fake. They just not gonna, you're gonna have that, so you just have to accept that.
And their evidence is very simple. How come there are no stars visible in the pictures? Why is the USA flag rotating when, in reality, there's no gravity?
And then, well, the other thing was the shadow, right?
In space. Why is there no blast crater under the landing module? And last but not least, my personal favorite, the shadows look weird. As much as weird might one day constitute irrefutable scientific proof, for now, it doesn't. Number 15. Man standing on the moon. So, the surface of the moon is very irregular, and therefore it has a lot of crevices and bumps that logically create shadows. People have been analyzing them for decades, looking for any kind of proof of alien presence. But this one discovery is slightly different, and if you ask me, a lot more terrifying. YouTube user WowForReal has discovered a very eerie silhouette literally walking on the surface of the moon. It even casts a shadow reminiscent of the silhouette of a man. But wait a minute, human beings can't be walking around on the moon without proper spacesuits. A person wouldn't last more than a millisecond in space without one before literally imploding from the inside. So what on earth, no pun intended, could this mysterious shadow be? NASA claimed that it was just a scratch on the negative of the film. But that scratch looks way too much like a human figure. It's too close for comfort. The shadow clearly...
I can definitely see it though. I can definitely see that. I don't know, man. I can definitely see what someone is saying that looks like. Yeah. That's scary almost.
It has a head, shoulders, 2 arms, and 2 long legs, and it's very tall and skinny. Could this be the first ever image of an alien? What do you think? Number 14. NASA hiding second sun. Paul Cox is a well-respected British field astronomer, and he recently came up with one of the most far-fetched conspiracy theories involving NASA. He claims very seriously that NASA is hiding the existence of a second sun. Yeah, you heard that right. Apparently, NASA has been keeping this a secret for decades. This theory first came to light during an 8-hour-long live broadcast with Cox, during which he was showing a live feed of his telescope examining the different planets. At one point, Cox points out a black dot in the middle of our solar system and proceeds to explain that that is where the second sun actually is. The thing is, the black dot he pointed at is, in fact, the planet Mercury. But Cox explained that in his mind, there is no planet Mercury. That's all just a hoax to distract people from the actual truth, which is that there's a second sun in our solar system. He claims that the second sun is normally hidden from view and that NASA goes out of its way to hide it from us. Those dirty sons. Give me my second sun. He also agrees with the Planet X theory, which states that there will be, in the future, a broken planet that will come from behind the sun and crash into the Earth, wiping out the entire human species. Number 13. Spoon on Mars. Have you ever wondered about the possibility that we're not the only intelligent species in the universe? Now, of course, we've all heard about aliens.
I mean, like, spoon you eat with, or 2 people caught spooning, or what are we talking about here? Come on, man, I need a little bit of context to go with this.
And UFOs, but what about older intelligent civilizations right here in our own solar system? This incredible picture taken on the planet Mars
definitely look like a spoon.
Will make you question everything you think you know. What if there was life there before? And by life, I mean a living species that could make tools and have their own culture and ideas. What other explanation could there be for a spoon being there? A spoon could easily be a leftover from a long-lost civilization, maybe even the one we actually come from ourselves. This mysterious and controversial image was taken by NASA's Curiosity rover, an adorable robot that was sent to Mars to gather information. And the weird thing is, this isn't the first time that a spoon-like formation has been spotted in a rover image. But keep in mind, these
somebody had to eat.
Wouldn't be your normal-sized spoons either. They're actually gigantic. So maybe there were very large aliens. At this rate, we might just find an entire set of giant silverware so that we can have a fancy big dinner party with them the day we finally manage to travel to Mars. Number 12. True color of Mars. When the Curiosity rover climbed over a ridge in Mars and the skies cleared up during the long and cold Martian winter, the robot was able to take these amazing panoramic images of the red planet. It gives us, for the first time, a clear image of the Martian landscape. You can see mountains, valleys, hills, and cliffs.
So, everything I've ever seen or come to know about Mars, you always get that orangey clay look. Everything I've ever seen. This is the first time I've seen something clear, like it could have been taken, a picture that could have been taken here on Earth. Like, see, that's the thing, man. We've been programmed to think it's only one way.
Even the geographical reminiscence of where rivers and lakes once were a long time ago. Mars is truly a fascinating planet. It's quite evident why the best minds of our time believe that one day we could actually live there permanently. The Martian landscape looks like it could perfectly fit in anywhere in the Albuquerque desert. It's crazy to think that a planet that's so far away from us can actually look somewhat familiar. When we think of Mars, we always picture a bright red planet with a kind of orangish sky. But this looks perfectly terrestrial, with brown and ochre hills and a blue sky. So, did we get it wrong when we imagined it, or are these images incorrect? Well, both, actually. NASA always subjects their Martian images to a white balance color adjustment to better suit their needs. In this case, by adjusting the white balance, they can better see the topographical patterns that they're looking for. In other words, Mars is still very much red, and the sky there is actually orange.
Really, NASA? Really? Really? Y'all are gonna stop playing with us. Like at this point, y'all are trolling.
Number 11. Apollo 11 mission. The Apollo 11 mission was the first mission that put a human being on the moon. Well, actually 2 human beings, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. So far, so good. But did you know that according to alien hunters from the Paranormal Crucible, there are some very bizarre and deranged objects in the archive images that the astronauts took back in 1969? Just moments before Armstrong did his iconic moon landing, the photographs appear to show some kind of missile shooting from a crater on the moon. The images were released by the American Space Agency. What, they have not noticed such a thing? As you know, there is no oxygen in space, which means that it is physically impossible that the missile in the images is a conventional one, or at least one made here on Earth. Our missiles all require life-supporting gas to explode. Some UFO enthusiasts think that this might be definitive proof of alien presence on the moon. It's highly unlikely that the projectile came from a NASA spacecraft, so what, are the aliens engaging in active war with us on the moon? Or could NASA be bombing alien
Look like they was definitely trying to.
installations on the lunar surface using high-tech ships from the secret space program? Number 10. Space Fireflies. John Glenn was the last living member of the original Mercury 7 crew of test pilots that became astronauts. He was also a US Senator, and he unfortunately died in 2016 at the age of 95. But his death has brought back a flood of nostalgia, and the alien hunters are once again trying to explain what it is he saw on his space travels. On February 20th, 1962, Glenn was the 3rd American citizen in space. He traveled aboard the Friendship 7 space capsule into low Earth orbit. On that trip, he actually saw something that looked exactly like fireflies outside the capsule as he made 3 passes around the planet Earth. He reported seeing glowing bits, and Mission Control was incredibly worried. After all, they were going nearly 17,000 miles per hour. What could it possibly be? He told Control that a whole shower of them were coming by, swirling around the capsule and then flying away. Later that year, another team of astronauts made the same trip, and they reported the exact same phenomenon. The luminescent flakes would go away if the astronauts would gently tap the walls of the capsule. I don't know about you, but I think this is highly suspicious, and maybe proof that there is, in fact, life out there in space. Number 9. Hearing music on the moon. When Apollo 10 entered the lunar
Type of music y'all think y'all would hear up there on the moon? Huh? What do y'all think y'all hearing? Drake? Huh? Chris Stapleton? What do you think y'all hearing?
orbit. As they passed around the far side of the moon, the astronauts lost all contact with the Earth. It's about an hour on the backside of the moon away from Earth, where any kind of radio contact is simply impossible. This is a very scary moment for the astronauts aboard the Apollo 10, as nobody on Earth can see or hear them. They're quite literally on their own. They eventually emerged back, and everything was going like clockwork. All the info that they gathered on the far side gets dumped back to Earth when they emerge, and that data gets archived and is highly classified. In other words, if they found something that they deemed necessary to hide from the public, that is exactly what they did. But nearly 4 decades later, when someone looked at the recordings the ship took on the far side of the moon, they found a chilling discovery. The transcripts contain recordings of strange, otherworldly music that was recorded by the Apollo's module radio. The conversations that ensued prove that these sounds were like nothing they had ever heard before. Over the course of an hour, they mention it multiple times. It's a very strange whoo sound, like the aliens were trying to communicate something to them. Number 8. Orbs fly past Shuttle Atlantis 2006 mission. The Atlantis shuttle was casually floating around in space when the astronauts noticed something. It looked like 3 orbits buzzing around the shuttle, and they immediately contacted Mission Control. The ground control commentator on NASA's live public feed said that they were merely reflections on the camera, but the crew members aboard the Atlantis certainly do not sound so convinced. It was 3 spooky orbs.
See, even then, they weren't trying to allow NASA to downplay it. How you gonna tell me what I'm seeing, fam? I know what I'm seeing. I'm here. You're down there.
Orbs floating around the space shuttle. The footage, which is a segment of the feed, starts with one of the astronauts describing to ground control what they were seeing. Some people theorize that it might just be space junk, but does space junk float in formation? I don't think so. The footage is too indistinct to really make something out of it, but neither the astronauts that actually saw the mysterious object with their own eyes, nor many scientists out there believe for a second that they were reflections on a camera or space junk. The crew member described them as a structure that is definitely not rigid. He also said that it was like nothing he had ever seen on the outside of the shuttle. The unknown objects were quickly moving to the nose of the orbiter, moving away at least 10 feet. For a few minutes, nothing of note happened, but that's when the orbs showed up again, this time hovering in a clear triangular formation. Number 7. NASA photoshopped image of Saturn's moon.
Well, according to this video, they do it all the time. So this is nothing new.
NASA was caught shamelessly photoshopping an image of Saturn's moons by a conspiracy theorist. It was actually their astronomy picture of the day, and it had very noticeable Photoshop brushstrokes in it. If you really want to see them, just turn up the contrast on the image. But what were they trying to hide? Is there a mysterious object hiding near or on Saturn's moon? If so, why would they choose this picture in particular as picture of the day so everyone could see? A YouTube user named Dominator PS3 discovered the rainbow aura around the blacked out object. But NASA has something to say about the matter. Emily Lakdawala, who was responsible for the Photoshop, explained exactly what happened. She said that Cassini takes pictures by snapping 3 sequential photos through red, green, and blue filters. When they were trying to capture images of Dione and Titan, which are the 2 Saturn moons, this happened. In the time between the 3 separate frames being taken, Dione had moved. So Emily had to do a simple color composite. She was able to make either Dione or Titan good, but not both. So she simply aligned Dione, cut it out, and then aligned Titan. After that, she had to account for the bits of Dione that had been in 2 of the 3 channels. Number 6. Metal object on Mars. A metallic object has been found in photographs taken by the robots on Mars. It is a tiny protuberance sticking out of the red dirt on the red planet. It's probably only around...
Keep digging. It's gonna get scarier, watch. Think about what else we gonna find, bro. We keep digging. It's not gonna be pretty. I think some stuff is gonna be of value, but I think a lot of answers lie beneath, you know what I mean, the surface. I think a lot of answers lie there. So yeah, keep digging. We're gonna get some answers.
around half a centimeter or a fifth of an inch. We can't be sure due to the fact that we only have images of the strange object. As you may already know, we've been exploring Mars for quite some time, but we can only send nuclear-powered robots for now, and with that comes a lot of frustration of having to settle with images and data since we can't go there yet. So back to the mysterious metal protuberance. Scientists think it could be iron, perhaps from a meteorite. The iron doesn't look like it has any oxidation on it, which would track with the incredibly low levels of oxygen present in the Martian atmosphere. But it could also be something that has grown from the rock below it. But the troubling fact is that it isn't covered in dust, and that is highly suspicious. As NASA workers have already said, we simply have no idea what it could be. They plan on investigating further as soon as they get the chance, but for now, it remains a true Martian mystery. Number 5. Alien base on Venus. Could the planet Venus be a secret base for aliens? NASA claims that Venus is unbelievably hot and windy, making it very inhospitable for life. But this film, released by both NASA and
That would make sense. Places we don't expect them to be, it's right where they'll be at.
the Japanese space probe, reveals perfectly rectangular structures. Now, I don't know about you, but that looks to me like a clear indicator of intelligent life on Venus. There's always been an eerie blackout about Venus. You don't hear much about it. Maybe the planet is shrouded in secrecy for good reason. According to NASA, Venus is an incredibly fiery place with an unbelievably hot surface and winds that would knock you out of your boots instantly. It may have been like Earth once, but it's suffering from a runaway greenhouse gas effect. But in these images, you can clearly see what appears to be a structure made by an intelligent species, which means that at least parts of Venus are livable, where biological entities can thrive and build their civilization. The planet has a lot of white craters that seem to have a lot of structures in them, so
I would be hesitant to check it out now, because if we haven't been there to, you know what I mean? And no. I think they're prepared. I think they're prepared. It ain't gonna be the whole, oh, we come in peace type of communication. Nah, we better try to communicate from a distance before stepping foot and seeing if we could, no. Don't go.
So much so that some people believe that it is a base. Or maybe they're left over from past existences. Number 4. Bones on Mars.
What?
A photo from NASA's Curiosity rover has set the internet abuzz after an image suggested that the robot had found a thigh bone. But as it turns out, the so-called bone was nothing more than a very much weathered Martian rock. The images of the suspicious rock were first posted on a UFO blog and were quickly picked up by the media outlets. It became such a viral phenomenon that NASA had to release a statement about it, offering a scientific explanation. NASA explains that the rock in the picture may look like a femur thigh bone, but it is absolutely not the fossilized remains of a mysterious Martian. Well, if you say so, NASA. The mission science team believes that the rock acquired the strange shape due to erosion, either from wind or
What'd that look like to y'all? Bone or rock? Put it in the comment section, please. Bone or rock?
water. Although we now know that Mars was once a perfectly habitable place in the ancient past. We still don't have any evidence of creatures large enough to leave behind a bone of that size, but the whole thing is still very suspicious, and most importantly, possible. Why can't it be a bone? We just don't know. We'll have to wait until we manage to actually physically be there and take actual samples of it. Number 3. What is the secret space plane doing? The mysterious U.S. Air Force unmanned X-37B spaceplane has flown not 2, not 3, but 4 clandestine missions to date, carrying secret payloads on long-duration flights in Earth's orbit. The X-37B is a robot vehicle that looks a lot like the Space Shuttle, but is much smaller in size. It's about 29 feet long and 9.5 feet tall, with a wingspan of only 15 feet. It is the most intriguing spaceship in the world. It regularly flies covert missions whose purposes aren't really known or talked about. But now we know a little bit more about the craft that's also known as the Orbital Test Vehicle. Some people think that the purpose of the OTV is to place spy satellites in space to make surveillance easier. Some other people think it could be a space-based bomber. Or maybe it's the way the Americans have found to spy on the Chinese space station. The OTV accomplished its first launch in 2010 and spent 224 days in space. Another similar vehicle flew a year later and remained in orbit for double that amount of time. The current record for the spacecraft is 780 days in orbit. That's more than 2 full years, and it occurred during the 5th flight of the X-37B. What they were doing up there is highly classified and remains a true mystery. Number 2. The Black Knight Satellite. What is the Black Knight Satellite? Well, apparently, it was an alien satellite set up more than 1,200 years ago to spy on the human species, and it's recently been shot down by elite soldiers from the Illuminati. It's been over 120 years now that conspiracy theorists believe the
why does Illuminati always come up?
Existence of the Black Knight. Supposedly, it's an extraterrestrial spacecraft in near polar orbit of the Earth. The first proof they had was solely the theory of a satellite related to radio signals. But what really had them going were a series of images from 1998 that have recently emerged again. These pictures were taken by the first space shuttle mission to the International Space Station, or ISS. You can clearly see a mysterious black object hovering above the planet Earth in low orbit. NASA has claimed that at that time, the ISS was still under construction, and what you can see in the pictures is simply one of the covers that got loose from its tether, causing it to float away along with a few other items. So basically, what you can see in the image is nothing more than a blanket. A few days later, the object fell from orbit and burned up. Number 1. The Great Void. A gigantic and massive void has been discovered in the middle of space. It is a hole completely empty of both normal and dark matter. It doesn't seem to emit any kind of detectable radiation or light. But don't worry, it is very, very far away from us. But it's so incredibly large that astrophysicists,
for now, it might move towards us,
believe it's actually billions of light years across. It's very hard to wrap your mind around the concept of distances so great, and there's nothing in it at all. It is pure and untouched void. But as it turns out, there is an explanation for what this could be. Apparently, it's simply a huge cloud of gas and dust that is 500 light years away from us. This dark nebula is called the Barnard 68. In other words, this void is just a large-scale, underdense region, but it isn't quite completely devoid of matter. There are other nebulas like the Barnard 68 that actually have enormous galaxies within them, although as far as we know, this is quite rare. The conclusion here is that the universe can't have empty spaces. It can only have spaces with less things in it, in a way. As you can see, we still have a lot to learn about space.
Oh, absolutely. We got plenty left. More than we can think of. And in this video alone, seen what could possibly be a spoon, what could possibly be a bone, orbs, and we got NASA photoshopping pictures. Why? Like, it's so much more stuff to discover, learn, and we just don't need them doctoring stuff up for us either. Another sun out there, possibly. You know what I mean? It was so much in this video, man. But this is, I told y'all what sparked this whole video today, man. Me looking that up and like, let's go down that rabbit hole again today. So, but y'all get at me in the comment section, man. Let me know what you think, and stick around and stay tuned. Till next one, I'm gone. Peace.